सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. So we'll continue our journey. Katha Upanishad, second adHyAya, third vallI and 8th verse. Actually, it's a continuation of the previous one. So we'll start with the previous one. Indriyebhyah param mano manasa sattvam sattvadadi mahanatma mahato avyaktam uttamam. Translation: the mind is higher than the senses, the intellect is higher than the mind, the great self is higher than the intellect, the unmanifest is higher than the self. So this is like a transition of various states of the mind. We see some parallel in Bhagavad Gita as well. So if we go deeper and deeper, the first we encounter is mind, which is just the reaction to any event or action based on our memory, that is manas, and that can easily be controlled with pratyahara. So if we take all the senses inward, because they have a tendency of going outward, so if they become inward, and there is a very simple step in one of the previous videos I think I mentioned, with that simple step, which is kind of Ashtanga Yoga mentioned there or some other place I found it, but I have been practicing that for many years and it's very effective. So with that you can easily control senses, they go inward. The next is intellect. Intellect is decipherment of any information, that ability of the mind, and that can easily be controlled via dharana. So in dharana what we do is, dharana is basically seeing a dream in awakened state. So if we dream, like Shekchilli, it's a very famous word, especially in Gujarat, that a daydreamer is called Shekchilli. So when you can dream with your eyes open, it's a practice of dharana, because what you visualize, what you think of, for that moment, for that matter, the mind creates that kind of environment or things around you. Ultimately, whatever we think of is one of the possibilities that can be realized at that moment, is what yogis say. So by daydreaming with dharana, until and unless we have the real experience or observance of what is within, we always have to dream, we always have to do dharana. This dream is not like what we see while we are sleeping. This dream is like your visualization, your manifestation in your mind. So do a dharana. Many people do it in Ajna Chakra, third eye. Many people do it within Anahata Chakra, Hridaya. So when we do that dharana, visualize that there is light, very bright light, equivalent to millions of suns. So that is our first step. So that dharana, we can easily control our intellect. Next step is self. Now there is one sub-state before self, which we call chitta. Chitta is where all of our bhavas are created. So beyond intellect, whenever we say I feel that, I feel this, so it's a matter of some faith in our belief, as well as all of our senses kind of create that state in our mind. So that becomes our bhava. When we see a very nice picture, we feel happy, we feel joyful. So that is our bhava. When we see something bad, something unforeseen, we may feel frightened, it creates bhaya. So these are various bhavas that are created beyond intellect. and that can be controlled via dhyana. So next step of Ashtanga Yoga after dharana is dhyana. So we visualize that there is something here in the Anahata Chakra or in the Ajna Chakra, and then we try to concentrate or focus on that visualization. So that becomes dhyana. And there is something beyond self. Actually, dhyana ultimately takes us to the union with self. We realize what it is, we observe what it is, we have that experience. And once we have that experience, that state becomes samadhi. We become one with self. But we must not stop there. This is just the beginning. Once we observe what is within, that is first step to the ultimate reality. And so here Rishi says that higher than self is unmanifest. Something that is not manifested, that is beyond our dimensions, beyond our 4 dimensions, I would say, because we experience past, present and future, time. And our instruments also can detect time variations. So what is beyond 4 dimensions is unmanifest, and that is higher than the self. And the next is in the 8th verse, avyaktattu parah purusho vyapako alinga evacha yanjnatva muchyate janturamrutatvam cha gacchati. Higher than the unmanifest is Purusha, the Supreme Self, who is omnipresent, formless. Every being who knows him is liberated and obtained immortality. So Purusha or Paramatma or the Supreme Being or Supreme State, these are all we can use equally, I would say. These are just our expressions, because something that is not manifest, how can we know that? How can we describe that? How can we give vyakhya of that? So Purusha is even beyond unmanifest. So if we cannot observe unmanifest, if we cannot put unmanifest into words, then what about Purusha or Brahma? We cannot say anything. But we loosely use these words: Supreme Self, Parabrahma, Brahma, Paramatma, Ishvara, Bhagavan, Purusha, all these words. And that is omnipresent. Even Bhagavan Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that Sutre Mani Gana Iva. He says that everything is something like a sutra like a thread. In thread, everything like a mani, all the stones that are being pervaded by that sutra, that thread. I am like that. So I exist in everyone and every being, irrespective of if something is sentient or not. It does not matter. Even this table, this chair, this floor, everything around us, Parabrahma pervades all of that, and that is the supreme state that we cannot imagine. And that is omnipresent, formless. If something is formless, how can we say it's he or she? We cannot just perceive anything. But with our limitations, we say he or she. It depends upon how we perceive. And once somebody knows that, when somebody touches that higher dimension, that is key to immortality. Here, immortality does not mean that body can exist forever. It can or it cannot. It does not make any difference. Birth or death, it's just a state of the body and mind. So in a sense, we become above that, and that is the state of immortality. And once the 4 dimensions stop existing for us, that means we are beyond time. And if we are beyond time, it does not matter whether we live or die. It's just the same thing. It's just one state versus the other, and that is immortality. Ninth verse. न संद्रशे तिष्ठति रूपमस्य न चक्षुषा पश्यति कश्चनैनं हृदा मनीषा मनसा अभिक्लुप्तो य एतद्वि दूरमृतास्ते भवन्त. His form cannot be seen here, nor is there worldly eye that can perceive him. By bringing the heart and the mind in accordance with the intellect, one who knows that becomes immortal. So this is again Ashtanga Yoga mentioned indirectly. By bringing heart and mind in accordance with intellect, that means we pass through all the steps of Pratyahara, Dharana and Dhyana. So once we become in that state of Samadhi, then we know, we observe or we experience what it is. And with worldly eyes we cannot perceive, because it is even beyond unmanifest. Whatever the energy, we call it Prakriti or Maya, Trigunatmik Prakriti, that is even unmanifest. So how can we perceive Purusha beyond that? So it's formless, cannot be perceived with our worldly eyes. And that's why in Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga in Bhagavad Gita we know that Bhagavan Krishna granted Divya Drishti, Divya Chakshu to Arjuna to perceive all that. Because till then Arjuna could just guess, but could not see that form, could not see what is the true reality. So Divya Chakshu meaning what is inside, what is within us, and what is beyond all the states of our mind. Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahamkara also. Ahamkara is the feeling of existence. So once we go beyond all of this, then we can perceive or have experience. So 10th verse. You can stop me anywhere, right? Yada panchavatiष्ठन्ते ज्ञानानि मनसा सह बुद्धिश्च न विचेष्टते tamahuhu paramam gatim. When the 5 organs of knowledge are at rest together with the mind, when the intellect ceases to be agitated, that is known as the highest state. So this is description of Samadhi. What happens in our Samadhi state? All the senses, they cease to respond to all the activities that they are meant for, like sight, smell, hearing, taste, touch. So these are 5 senses. They stop responding. Actually, they might collect information, but our mind stops responding, and intellect stops to be agitated. Whenever we start doing meditation, dhyana, we see that mind just keeps jumping, and even it jumps more than what we have even experienced with our Jagrata mind. So because mind, that is its attribute, it has to think, it has to create, it has to visualize, so it will keep doing it. Try not to control that and go beyond that. So because mind is not you, you are separate from mind. We have seen in previous verses that we have to create a distance between mind and ourselves. So if we can see that mind is jumping, that's the key. Mind keeps jumping, but again, be aware that mind is jumping. Once you do that, then you can go beyond.
So was this the same tactic that you had mentioned, try to observe, right?
Yes, try to observe, yes.
So was that what was the technique to also draw the senses inward? I didn't remember which one was.
Okay. So for Pratyahara, the simple technique is close your eyes, sit in whatever posture you feel comfortable, take breath in and visualize that there is light from that breath flowing to your left leg up to the toe. Now breathe out and take that light in backward direction and put it into your spine. Now next breath, that light goes into right leg up to the toe. Breathe out, so that light comes back up, goes to the spine.
So when you take the next breath,
Right.
is it going from the previously stored spot of the spine?
No, from your nose to your lungs, and just visualize.
Okay.
From nose to lungs to your right leg.
Okay.
Now third breath, visualize nose to lungs to your left arm up to the finger points. That light, now breathe out, that light goes back to your spine. Breathe in, light goes to the right arm up to the tips. Breathe out, goes back, store it in the spine. Now fifth, breathe in, that light is in your torso going outward, and then breathe out, bring that light back to your spine. So that is pratyahara.
And any specific portion of the spine, like imagine
It is
at the back.
at the back, right? It is at the back. So just visualize that you are storing that light in your back.
Not just above here, because
Anywhere.
some centers are there. Nothing.
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
Because that visualization will come automatically.
Okay.
You don't have to try for that.
Okay.
Just try to store that light in your column, that spine column. That's it.
And just one cycle of this.
Just one cycle. Just one cycle.
And then we will, like if we do this every day once,
Right.
then consistency.
So before doing dhyana, these are the steps. First do pratyahara. So bring all your senses to your spine. Then next step is dharana. Visualize anahata chakra or ajna chakra, whatever you like. Visualize that there is bright light, and then you can visualize any form, or just concentrate or focus on your bright light. You can do whatever you like, but create that dharana, visualization.
It can be Ishtadevata also.
Could be anyone.
Okay.
And then the third is keep focusing on that visualization. So that becomes dhyana ultimately. And Swami Vivekananda, he gave this definition. Once you do dharana, on your dharana, on your visualization, if you can stay focused for 3 minutes, you mastered dhyan. If you stay focused in your visualization for continuous, right? This is continuous 30 minutes, that is state of the samadhi. So this is practical definition given by Swami Vivekananda. In Ashtanga Yoga, it is said that if you start doing dhyana, this is for the beginners, right? Or even after even many years, dhyana is not the same every day. It keeps changing. Some day you feel satisfied, okay, I did fine today. Some days you think that I just wasted 30 minutes. It can happen because it's mind ultimately. But our job is to create a distance from that feeling. So it is said in Ashtanga Yoga, adHyAya. No, adHyAya is Panini. Ashtanga Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. It is said that if a sesame seed, til, stays on the tip of the horn of an ox, a bull, if you achieve dhyana for that much time, it is good. That means for a fraction of second, if you can concentrate, if you can be away from your mind, that is dhyana. So be happy with that.
So the key thing you mentioned was if you see that the mind is jumping, getting agitated, but
Yes.
doing dhyana, don't try to stop it.
Right. Just try to observe. Just try to observe. Because if you think of monkey, it will come into your dhyana.
Right.
If you don't want to think of monkey, that will come even more. So just visualize, and then whatever happens, just try to observe. But ultimately, you will get that experience. And Parul has witnessed many things, or I share with her that I can say for sure that these techniques work, and you will definitely get glimpses of what it is. Now it is said that if you have self-realization, that even doesn't stay forever. You always come back. But when you have realization of Parabrahma, Paramatma, See, realization of self is just the first step. It is going beyond Trigunatmik Maya. Then we are in a different world, in a different realm. So that first step is self-realization. And we ultimately realize that there is Paramatma, unmanifested world and all that. And very beautiful description is given in Paramahansa Yogananda autobiography. If I am not mistaken, chapter 44 or 45. So what happens beyond our physical world? So he described it very well. His guru described all that. Even if you believe or not, it's still a very good reading, and it is available online free. So you can look at that.
Autobiography of a Yogi.
Right, by Paramahansa Yogananda. And again, these are all words, right? We are just trying to justify Brahma. Who are we? So only key is just by these words, if we get inspired and practice, that's what matters. So 13th verse. Astityevo palabdhavya statva bhavena chobhayoho astityevo palobdasya tatva bhavaha prasidati. It should be perceived as asti, exists, and then it should also be perceived in its true nature. When it is perceived as asti, its true nature presents itself. So this is to create our belief. See, there are two paths, right? Asti or Nasti. Both lead us to that ultimate truth. But instead of following Nasti, follow Asti, because that is very much in tune with our tendencies. If we say this is not God, there is no God here, there is no God here, God is not everywhere, Brahma is not anywhere. So if you keep following that, keep chasing that, ultimately you'll know what is Brahma. But that has many pitfalls, and we have seen in Katha Upanishad that it is like walking on a dark path full of razors or edge of razors. So it is dark, you cannot see anything, and you are walking, every step is like you are going or walking on edge of razor or knife. So that path is very difficult, and very few can go on that path. We are not of that capacity, so follow Asti. And Asti meaning believe that God is everywhere, God is everything, and in every form, or whatever form you like, just keep following that. And ultimately the true nature or true self will be revealed. Fourteenth verse. Yada sarve pramuchyante kama ye asya hridhi shritaha atha mrityo amruto bhavatyatra brahma samashnute. When all desires that are lodged in one's heart fall away, then the mortal becomes immortal and attains Brahman here. Or we can say, then the mortal attains Brahman and becomes immortal. So over the period of time, with good practices, all of our desires stop. It does not mean the desires will not be there. Desires will always be there, because that is nature of our mind. But we'll stop responding to the desires, or we'll observe the desire and then act accordingly. What is right or wrong, what is to be perceived or not, we can follow all that. 15th verse. Yatha sarve prabhidyante hridayasyeha granthayah atha mrityo amruto bhavatyeta vadhyanu shasanam. When all the knots of the heart are split open, then the mortal becomes immortal. So say the Vedika directions. So what Vedas say, that when all these knots, meaning all the granthis, whatever we have accumulated over many births, once they split open, then the true nature is revealed, and then we become immortal. So these are all various experiences that yogis have. It does not mean that we are going to get this experience, but it's one of the experiences that we can get. When we talk about 7 chakras, ultimately it's 112, 4 outside the body, 108 within the body, but 7 are major, and that's what we try to activate, kind of. They are already activated, but we don't feel that. So once we start feeling, that's what we want to do it. But on top of all these chakras, there are 3 granthis: Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. So Brahma is the navel area, Vishnu is within the heart, and Mahesh below nose and above upper lip. So all these 3 granthis, they control our bhavas. Maybe they are the storage of whatever we accumulate over the birth. I don't know. But these granthis are also very important in spiritual advancements. So many hatha yogis, they not only 7 chakras, they also concentrate on these 3 granthis and try to cleanse them, because that is very important too, because that is kind of a storage of all of our mental activities. So once we clean that, it is very easy, it becomes very easy for the Hridaya Guhya to reveal. Sixteenth verse. Shatam chaika cha hridayasya nadyastasam murdha nabhinihi sutraika tayodvarmayanna mrutatvameti vishwangnya utkramane bhavanta. So there are 101 nerves in the body. One of them penetrates the crown of the head. By its moving upwards, one attains immortality. The other nerves are arranged in various other senses. So this is Sushumna Nadi they are talking about. The word Sushumna is not used here, but ultimately it's that. So once our prana flows from Sushumna Nadi, which is the middle, and when it reaches Murdha, the crown, head, that is also the ultimate reality, ultimate state that we can have, and that is the experience of Brahma ultimately. So this is path of Raja Yoga. So people who follow Raja Yoga, they try to activate all their chakras and take Kundalini Shakti upward from Sushumna to the Murdha. And once it reaches Murdha, it is said that you have 21 days in this body if you are not Ishwar. So there are many saintly figures who happen to be many gurus. They could achieve all this and they could still stay in the body, but that's not us, because once we reach that state, what is beyond throat chakra? Once we are in Ajna chakra, and there are 3 other, and then Murdha. So once we are in that territory, it's not up to us. And it is said that we stay in this body for maximum 21 days after reaching that goal. But again, it's wish of Brahma. Who are we to say? 17th verse. अंशमात्रः पुरुषो अंतरात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः तस्मान् शरीरात् प्रवृहेन् मुञ्जादि वेशिकान् धैर्येण तं विद्याच्छु क्रमममृतं तं विद्याच्छु क्रमममृतमिति. The inner self, the consciousness, which is the size of a thumb, is always seated in the hearts of all living beings. He should be observed or experienced with great patience. He should be understood as pure and immortal. He should be understood as pure and immortal indeed. So it is stressed multiple times that the Purusha, the Paramatma, the Brahma that resides in the heart, not the physical heart but the Hridaya Guhya, the spiritual heart, is Angushta Matrena. So the size of that flame is Angushta Matrena, and it is always seated there, is what is said. And we have heard that many people who follow many paths of dhyana and hatha yoga, they always talk about 7 chakras, so go ultimately to murda. But one thing, if we connect the dots here, once we reach murda, it's always turning back to anahata. It's like that hook. So from 7 chakras, once you reach upper region, that is ultimate state, but it automatically bends backward to your heart. So many people think that instead of going all the way up, just concentrate in Anahata chakra. Because if you do meditation in adHyaya chakra, it creates lot of internal heat, and that can create headache, that can create changes in vision. So there are many steps to be done to remedy that effect, like applying ghee, doing various things, like some people apply various tilakas and all that. So if we have a guru who can teach us all that, that's fine. But if not, if we are our own territory, then it is easy to concentrate in Anahata chakra, because that creates calmness, composure and compassion automatically. There is no need to go upward. Eighteenth verse. Mrityu proktam nachiketo athalabdva vidyametam yoga vidhim cha krutsnam brahma prapta virajo abhudvi mrityuranyo apyevam yo vidadhyatmam eva. Nachiketa, having acquired this knowledge imparted by Yama, as well as the entire knowledge about yoga, attained Brahma, became free of all passions and became immortal. Thus it will be with any other too who studies the nature of the self. So this is a blessing. So if you follow Katha Upanishad, you are already on that path. We have seen in first adHyaya that just by listening or just by reading Katha Upanishad, one is put into that path. So one way or the other, we are going to follow path of Nachiketa and Yama, and will have that experience ultimately. So that is a blessing. So this concludes Katha Upanishad, and we'll start Prashna Upanishad from next session. We have still some 10 minutes or so if you want to discuss anything. See, you can, this Katha Upanishad Katha of Nachiketa and Yama, you can take it as metaphor as well. Every one of us is Nachiketa. So meaning of Nachiketa is being simple, straight, don't have any prapancha in mind. Become very simple, like a child, an innocent child. So that is the first step in walking towards self-realization. Be Nachiketa. And Yama is going to guide us. So Yama in Ashtanga Yoga is the first step. Yama is constraint, control. So it has very detailed explanation of what we can do in Yama. So whatever belongs to you, you give to others. Whatever belongs to others, don't assume that it's yours. Don't accumulate, don't hoard on things beyond your needs. Say or state or explain the things as you have perceived or experienced. Don't make any extrapolations. Don't try to judge anything. So these are some basic steps we can follow, and That is first step in Ashtanga Yoga, Yama. So Yama and Nachiketa, these are first conditions to walk on the path of self-realization. And then there are various methods mentioned in all these verses of Katha Upanishad. And this is one of the very old Upanishads. So over the period of time, many great sages, many great rishis compiled all the teachings in a very concise way, and that is Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So we can follow that. And there are many simple steps mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavad Gita talks about various yajnas. Each and every step of our life, or each and every walk of our life, as simple as breathing in and out, is a yajna. If we follow that, we can have vision of Krishna and we ultimately get to Krishna. So many things we can follow. And I would say, don't be confused. Gnan, Karma, Kriya and Bhakti. These are, you have to have these four. So Gnana is about Katha Upanishad, what it talks about. It talks about self, Atma and Brahma and Parabrahma. So that is knowledge. Anything related to Brahma is knowledge or Gnana. Karma, offer everything you do to your Ishtadev or the form you like, or Brahma. Offer results of everything you do to Brahma or your Ishtadev. That is karma. Kriya is follow Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, those steps. That becomes your Kriya to achieve Brahma. And Bhakti, surrender, just surrender in every breath. So once you have all these, we can achieve all in one lifetime. And actually, when I started studying Rigveda, in the forewords, I was following Pandit Ram Sharma Acharya, his interpretation on Rigveda, along with the Sanskrit text. And he mentioned that even if you read translations or explanations, it does not matter if you understand that or not. Just by reading and reciting all the mantras of Rigveda, you ultimately unlock what is the hidden truth, but just by reading it. So those words are woven such beautifully that truth is revealed by itself.
But reading in Sanskrit.
Sanskrit, yes. So read in Sanskrit and you can follow translation, any translation you like. So there are more than 10,000 mantras in Rigveda. It will take some time, but ultimately the truth will be revealed through that. And we have Mishra ji here. So, your thoughts or your words, if you want to share.
It is nice. You are explaining the things. One should follow it concentratedly and concentrate on the steps.
Right. Definitely. Yes. Yes. And Upanishads are like opening the locks on the Vedas, right? Because sometimes you feel those words in the mantras of Rigveda as simple as Gayatri mantra, right? Om Bhurbhuva Swa Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. But what is the real meaning? See, we can interpret each and every word, but what is our experience with sun? Do we have that experience? Ultimately, that is our goal. So by just reciting and looking at sun, if we get that experience, then we have unlocked the true nature of that mantra. So that is the ultimate goal of the Upanishads, and hopefully we all will have that experience. That is my prayer. And we can end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.